So on last night's episode of Fargo, we found both Lester and Lauren in prison. We also got a revealing look that was a tease to the movie, too. So today I'm joined by Ryan Johnson.
Hello.
Filling in for John as we talk about the 4th episode of Fargo. So last night there was a lot of revelations. The episode started out with a flashback to 1987. Hello! And you see a young couple arguing in a car with a kid in the back seat. And they run out of gas. He gets out of the car and he sees an ice scraper in the snow. He goes over and he finds the briefcase that supposedly Steve Buscemi buried in the movie. So we find out that it is, what's his name? John Stamos. Milos, the supermarket king of Minnesota. So that's where he started his empire, from this briefcase full of money. We had a couple people call it last week when they saw the ice scraper encased in his office.
Yes.
So what did you think of the throwback to the movie?
I guess I was hoping they wouldn't directly tie into the movie the way they did. I wasn't crazy about that, although it would explain kind of where all this biblical plague stuff is going. It's, as we saw in that scene, Milos' dad finds God after he finds that briefcase.
Wait, wasn't that Milos that found the briefcase, not his dad?
Maybe it was.
1987.
Okay, never mind.
So I think, I was not impressed with the tie-in to the movie. I know a lot of people were like, yes, but I didn't like it. I wanted it to be a new story. We have a new set of characters, and I think if they do want to continue this into a second season, I'm not thrilled that they tied it into the movie, but whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
And so we find out where Milos got his money to start his empire, and meanwhile, Billy Bob, Lorne Melvo, is still playing with his mind and taunting him, this time with a supermarket full of crickets. And there's all of this, biblical play, the plague of locusts.
And that was after last week's bloody shower.
Yeah, so, I think Billy Bob is really, or Lorne Melville, I'm sorry, I just call him Billy Bob.
Yeah, he's still Billy Bob.
I don't know. He is really taking on kind of this role of God, but of a very evil God.
And he even calls and threatens Milos and tells him God is watching, and then you see him standing on top of the supermarket. So he is kind of a God character.
Kind of God.
Yes.
He might be God. Who are we to say? We don't know.
I hope not.
I hope not too. Meanwhile, Lester, poor Lester is festering.
Yes.
Let's just put it that way.
I'm glad they did not show too much more of his hand, because that was making me a little squeamish.
Yeah. So let's go back. We teased at the beginning that we found both of our main characters in prison at one point during this episode. So, as Lauren is outside of Milo's house, Deputy Dummy, I like to call him, also known as Gus Grimley, played by Colin Hanks, drives by and sees him and realizes it's the man he once let go. And so he arrests him. And I really have to say, I've said this before in this video, that I just think that Lorne Melvo's character might be one of the best ever in TV history.
Yes.
And last night was absolutely proving that.
That was so much fun.
He gets arrested and he goes to prison, and he's kind of playing this mind game with Gus Grimley, and he gets into the interrogation room with the police chief in Duluth, and he totally puts on an act.
Yes. Yeah, his name is Frank Peterson now. He is a Lutheran minister in Baudette, Minnesota, and his accent was amazing.
It was pretty killer,
yeah,
I gotta say.
I really liked it.
It was Midwestern gold.
I'm trying to figure out where he found that Mr. Rogers sweater.
I don't know.
But that was a nice touch. It really added to his character, and everyone felt awful for arresting this poor Lutheran minister.
Yeah. Everyone knows him up in Baudette.
But Gus is still on to him. It's just Gus is also a really bad cop, and I don't know how he's going to convince anyone else.
He's not very bright, but we do realize, so as he's leaving, as Lauren is leaving the police station, Gus, comes up to him and is like, "I'm on to you." And he looks back at him and he has this very like Gollum-like riddle for him as like,
Yes.
humans can see more shades of green than any other color. When you figure out the answer to that, you'll know whatever. And Gus kind of just like mouth agape stares at him.
Yeah.
And then
That one
later
threw me
he
off.
recounts it to Molly when he just buzzes right on over to Bemidji from Duluth.
Well, of course, for a
'Cause
hot date at the diner
it's
with
pretty
Molly.
close, especially in January. It's not a bad drive at all. And Molly's like, well, yeah, it's about being a predator.
Yes.
And in order to see through the trees, you need to be able to see lots of shades of green. So anyway, Molly gets it right away.
And that's the
Gus is
reason why Lauren is able to lie so well. That's what he says. He's a predator, I guess, which anyone watching the show by now knows that he is a predator. He's a killer. He's a good liar. But I still really like his character for some reason.
I do too. You can't not like Lauren. I'm sorry. And so meanwhile, Lester, his hand gross and green.
Yes. A little puffy.
A little puffy, looking a little infected. He gets snatched up by the two crime syndicate guys from Fargo, thrown in a trunk.
Of course.
Third body in the trunk, and taken out to the ice of a lake with the ice auger, and we're brought back to that scene from Lenny, and we think he's finally gonna get it. And meanwhile, he's got his taser that he stole from his brother, and he tases Adam Goldberg in a what I like to call a fancy beaver skin coat or something.
Yes, that was a nice
and gets
fur.
away. And his way to get away is to headbutt a cop into bringing him back into town, and that's how he ends up in jail.
Yes.
But
and he thinks he's escaped, and he's feeling pretty clever at that point. But then the episode ends with those Fargo crime syndicate guys getting themselves arrested in a stupid bar brawl. And then you find out they will be spending the night in the same cell as Lester.
So that's where we're left. Lester and the two Mo and Curly, I like to call them, in a prison cell with him. Overall, I think this episode was great because we got all of this building. We got a little bit more into insight as to why Milos is who he is. I couldn't get over, though, how many times I was like, what kind of cop does that? What kind of criminal does that? I think we're starting to see the flaws in these characters and really like who are the really smart people and who are just the fumbling criminals that are never going to get it right. I think, you know, in the end, I hope that both Lauren and Lester get away with it. I know that's terrible. They've killed 5 people, well, 4 people between the two of them, and I want them to get away with it. That's how good this show is. So
I really can't help but feel like Lester has to be doomed. He has 3 different ways that he could be killed off coming down the road. I mean, and the episode also, toward the end, Molly and Gus, when they realize that they can't go after Lauren right now, they ask, what should we do now? And the answer is Lester. Lester is the main target.
Why not Lester? So,
and he's already arrested, and he's incarcerated with these 2 enemies who just tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And his hand wound is getting pretty bad, so poor Lester. I don't think it's going to make it much longer.
Yeah, we're going to find out Lester's fate very quickly, I think. And next week marks the halfway point in this season, so they're wrapping things up quickly. I can't imagine what the last 6 episodes have to go, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, let's see. And I wonder about any more tie-ins to the movie. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.